Part 3. Beneath the surface, 2,000 to 2,200 words. Ethan couldn't shake the words Hardy had whispered to him. The lighthouse doesn't want to be found. They echoed in his mind, a constant reminder that the answers he sought weren't going to come easily. Despite the warning, his determination only grew stronger. Something was wrong in Barnes' table, something that had been hidden for far too long, and the lighthouse held the key. The next morning, Ethan decided to go back to the lighthouse. The fog had not lifted, and the world felt muted, as though it was holding its breath. He walked along the craggy coastline, his boots sinking into the soft earth as he approached the towering structure. The lighthouse stood against the bleak sky like a sentinel, its shadow stretching long across the land. The old wooden door creaked as he pushed it open. The dust and decay inside seemed more oppressive than the day before. But today, Ethan felt a new sense of resolve. He wasn't just a curious outsider anymore. He was part of this place, tied to it by an inheritance he didn't fully understand. And now, the secrets it held were pulling at him, as though the walls themselves were whispering. He made his way to the keeper's quarters. The diary still lay on the small table by the bed, its pages now appearing to beckon him. He opened it, his fingers tracing the words as he read the next entry. The storm rages tonight. I hear voices in the wind, whispers, distant cries. I'm not sure if it is the sea or my own mind playing tricks. There's something in the water. It calls to me, but I cannot answer. Ethan's stomach tightened as he read on. The diary was becoming more disturbing by the day. The previous entries spoke of strange happenings, of the keeper's growing paranoia and obsession with the sea. But it was the next part that truly caught his attention. I found something. An old journal, buried beneath the floorboards. It belonged to my predecessor, the keeper before me. He wrote of dark rituals. Rituals that were meant to appease something that lived beneath the waves. But I do not believe it worked. The sea is angry, and it has begun to demand more than just offerings. A chill ran down Ethan's spine. Rituals? Offerings? What had this place been? A lighthouse? Yes, but it was clear now that it was far more than that. It was a nexus for something darker, something that had been hidden beneath the surface for decades. He couldn't stop now. He had to know what the keeper had uncovered. He had to find that journal. If it was still here, buried somewhere in the lighthouse, it might hold the final pieces of the puzzle. With the diary in hand, Ethan began searching the keeper's quarters. He moved furniture, lifted rugs, and peered into every dark corner, his heart pounding with anticipation. It wasn't long before he found it, beneath a loose floorboard, hidden from sight. A small, leather-bound journal, its cover worn and cracked from age. His hands trembled as he opened it. The handwriting inside was different from the first keeper's, more frantic, more desperate. The rituals are not enough. The creature beneath the waves demands blood. It has taken many lives over the years, and I fear that I am next. The lighthouse keeper is but a guardian, a sacrificial figure who stands between the world and what lies beneath. The waves have grown restless, and I can hear its cries in the distance. Ethan's heart pounded in his chest as he read the words. The creature beneath the waves, was it real? Had this lighthouse been built as some kind of sacrifice to keep it at bay? And if so, why hadn't anyone spoken of it? He read on. I must finish the work that was begun by the first keeper. The ritual must be completed, or the creature will rise again. I am not sure how much longer I can last, but I will write this as a warning. If anyone reads this, they must stop what is coming. The lighthouse is the key. The light, the beacon, is not merely to guide ships. It is a ward, a prison for something ancient and terrible. If the light ever goes out, the creature will awaken. The words on the page seemed to blur before his eyes. Ethan was no longer sure if he was reading a journal or a curse. The more he read, the more he felt as though he was being drawn into something much larger than he could have ever imagined. Suddenly, the sound of footsteps echoed in the hallway, startling him. Ethan snapped the journal shut and turned toward the door. He couldn't explain it, but he had the sense that he wasn't alone. Someone else was in the lighthouse with him. He stood still, his heart pounding in his chest. He strained his ears, trying to listen for any movement. But the footsteps had stopped. He cautiously approached the door, his hand on the doorknob, and slowly cracked it open. The hallway was empty. Shaking his head, he stepped back and sat down in a chair by the window, staring out at the grey sea. The wind howled against the walls of the lighthouse, but in the distance, something else caught his eye. A shape in the fog. A figure. For a moment, he thought he was seeing things, but as he squinted into the mist, the figure became clearer. It was a man, standing on the cliffs just beyond the lighthouse, his back to Ethan. He was tall, with a long coat that billowed in the wind, his face obscured by the hood. Ethan's breath caught in his throat. He had no idea who this person was, but something about him seemed Wrong. The figure stood still, as though waiting for something. Or someone. Without thinking, Ethan grabbed his camera and rushed outside, hoping to catch a glimpse of the figure before it disappeared into the fog. But when he reached the cliffs, the man was gone. Ethan scanned the landscape, his eyes darting across the rocky outcroppings, but there was no sign of the figure. The fog had thickened even more, and the waves crashed violently against the rocks below. It was as though the figure had never been there at all. His heart pounded as he turned back toward the lighthouse. The wind had picked up, and the atmosphere had become even more oppressive. Something was happening here, something he couldn't explain. The journal, the warnings, the mysterious figure, it was all too much to ignore. Ethan knew one thing for certain. The truth was buried beneath the lighthouse, hidden in its walls, in its history. And whatever dark force lingered beneath the waves, it had been waiting for someone like him to uncover its secrets. But at what cost?